and then that's it. So
Thank God you're here.
so then we'll just get the recording from you at a later time.
Okay. Or do you want to use together? And then I can do presentation mode, right?
Yes. Yeah, it looks great.
Good.
Awesome.
Can I move this a little bit over here? Yeah.
Oh no, this is not right now. Yeah. No. Oh, that's so I don't know how that was. Oh, I was. I want to find Let me bring this down just a second and start to resume.
Go for it.
Did you actually go to say record?
Yes.
Oh, well, maybe you are recording. Okay. Are you really? Oh, that's your flash drive. Actually, they have a great space in the So we have
Okay, everyone. We now have Tom White, who's the Executive Director of Lacey, and he will be presenting on the magic of storytelling. So, Tom White.
So first of all, Jake Infield, amazing. You have shown all of us how simple it is to get involved in the creation of an experience. So that means that everyone in the room here can equally create identical experiences because Jake just showed us how. That means in order to win, since all of our experiences can look just like each other's, we have to differentiate ourselves in some way. And that usually comes down to story, and how we tell the story about what it is that we're showing. So today we're going to talk about the magic of storytelling. Does anybody know what the Magician's Code says on the first line of the Magician's Code? What does it say that you can do?
Never tell anyone how you do your tricks.
Never tell anyone the secrets about how you do your tricks. But this is a secret that is so important that everyone needs to know this. So I'm here to share it today. And as a CSUN alum, I want to make sure we all have the same opportunity to embrace storytelling in order to go do amazing things. What we're going to learn today is how to use storytelling to engage your audience emotionally. So when we say emotion, what is that? What are some emotions?
Anger,
Anger. It's another one.
fear,
Fear. Another?
insecurity.
Insecurity. He knows them all.
Just anything of those that you can utilize.
Absolutely. You can make people laugh. You can make people cry. You need to make people feel, right? Now, who are these audiences that we want to engage emotionally? Customers, investors, advisors, influencers, team members, partners, judges, right? In short, anyone you're pitching, you want to engage them emotionally. You want to make them feel. And if someone cries at the end of what you're doing, you've won. Believe me, you've won. Your pitches can be done in 2 minutes. They can be done in 20 minutes. But let's look at examples of people who make pitches that last 120 minutes. That's a long pitch. Anybody ever seen a 120-minute pitch? It's 2 hours. Sorry?
Movies.
Perfect. And these are the kinds of movies that we're talking about. And these people are master storytellers. They're master storytellers, and they make billions of dollars doing it. And every one of these has a series that it's going to go on forever. Now let's look at what they do. They create what? Characters, conflict. That's exactly right. Now let's look at the characters that are the stars of these stories. What do they have in common? Tragedy.
Sorry.
Hey, come here. You do this. What else do they have in common? What do you see when you look up here? They're all men. Now we're going to change that in a minute here, but they're all men. What else do you see about them? Sorry? They're all white men. What else? No, sorry. What else we see about them? Nobody's smiling up here. No one's happy. They're concerned. Look at the looks on their faces. So they're starting from a place where they're not happy. They're not in a good place. And by the way, something else we know about all these characters? They're all orphans. No one has parents. Parents were killed. Grew up with his aunt and uncle who hated him. Grew up with his aunt and uncle who got killed. All of them are alone in the world. And they are orphans who are trying to save the world against all odds, at great risk to themselves. So let's look at one. Let's look at Star Wars. It was started, by the way, by this entrepreneur. I mean, a guy that looks like this could be sitting in this classroom right now. He's a startup. Now, when you go to tell a story like Star Wars, how would you do it? You could say, well, here's my product. You know, it's an X-Wing fighter, and here are some of the specs, and it defeats the Galactic Empire, by the way. And this is where the Galactic Empire lives, on the Death Star. That's a big floating planet. This is a big ship that defends the Death Star. And this is the lightsaber that the Jedi Knights use to battle each other. And also there are droids that are in the story as well. And here's our team. Oh, and we have 2 teams, the good guys and the bad guys. Now that's one way to tell a story, isn't it? But that's the way you would tell a story if you wanted to write an encyclopedia. If you write an encyclopedia, you can sell thousands of copies and make hundreds of thousands of dollars. maybe millions of dollars selling a nice encyclopedia like that. But it's not really going to change the world, is it? But if you create a story that embraces all kinds of character activity, you can change the world, and you can make $30 billion like Star Wars has. Now, how do they do it? They do it using a model called the hero's journey. This is a model, it's repeatable. Everyone in here can embrace it, and I'm going to show you how it works. In the hero's journey, there's a call to adventure. There's a threshold that the hero has to cross, has to make the decision to cross over into. They're going to face an ordeal, they're going to face death, rebirth, and renewal, reward, and resurrection. That's a big-time life experience. And here's what the hero's journey structure looks like. We're going to move our heroes from the ordinary world, where they all, and we all are today, into a special world. And it's in that special world they're going to have new powers to come out, be resurrected, and return to their ordinary world renewed. But when you tell a story in the hero's journey, we don't start with products. We start with people. We start with our hero. And we have to take our audiences out of the here and now and put it in a different place entirely. So we captivated their imagination. Everything that they're about to experience for the next 120 minutes is within our control, not theirs. So here's how Star Wars does it. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, our hero, Luke Skywalker, lived on a moisture farm, God knows what that is, on a planet called Tatooine we've never heard of before. And he's not happy. Because he's all alone. It's a desert planet. They have these evaporators that, attracts moisture out of the air. It sounds like Los Angeles, actually. But that's where he is. He lives with his aunt and uncle there, and he longs for adventure. And he happens to run into these two droids who show him a hologram of Princess Leia, asking Obi-Wan Kenobi to help her. What is this? Oh my goodness. Well, he meets Obi-Wan Kenobi, who invites him to join the rebellion. Well, what does he do? Does he say, yes, I'm in? No. He says, I don't think so. Oh, really? Okay, well, how about this? How about I give you your father's lightsaber? Because, he was a Jedi Knight. That changes the game. And now Luke can become a Jedi Knight because the mentor that he has met is going to train him. This is where we enter the special world. Now Luke goes with his mentor to deliver the plans that he got from Princess Leia for the Death Star to Leia's father. They go and they meet their new allies, and they have to test the allegiance of these new allies, Han Solo and Chewbacca, who agree to take Luke and Obi-Wan to Alderaan to deliver the plans. They get there, they invade the Death Star, and they save Princess Leia. But in the process, what happens? Their new adversary, Darth Vader, kills the mentor. Now, facing that death, Luke decides to join the rebels to destroy the Death Star. Han Solo says, come on, let's just take the money and go. I said, no, now I'm committed. Now I'm on this journey. And I'm going to overcome the Empire. And he does it. He remembers Obi-Wan's advice, and he uses the Force to help him destroy the Death Star, and he returns jubilant, victorious, a hero. Those are the 12 steps of the hero's journey. We start in the ordinary world, and we move through this special world to emerge victorious. Look at the difference between our hero from the start of the story to the end of the story. And it's because he went through this special world, faced these ordeals, that now he's reborn as a new character with new powers. He's got the Force now, right? And when you promote such a thing, you'll all be promoting what it is that you're creating. Do we say, here's my product? No. What we do is we look into the eyes of the hero. It's all about the hero. We want to keep that first and foremost, because if there's no hero, we don't care. We don't care about this. but we do care about what this enables us to do as people, as human beings. So these are some of our heroes. And these heroes have gone through the hero's journey to emerge. Reborn. Okay? So now let's see how this model can be used to take something very common and turn it into something extremely interesting, something we really care about.
Go here. Let me make sure we have audio on. Good.
So this is our new hero, and finally a female. Great. And she is promoting a product called Grammarly. Ever heard of it? It's a spell checker. It's a grammar checker. So we all have grammar checkers, spell checkers on our work programs, and Google, name it. It exists everywhere. They're selling spell checker, grammar checker. They're using the hero's journey to do it, to make us care about it. So let's see how they do it.
Get ready, 'cause here I come.
Well, last thing I'd like to introduce our new social media manager, Lily.
Do you know what's going on?
The servers are down. Welcome to the team.
I'll make the world go round. Gonna take the sunshine.
Lily, tough day, huh?
It was a great day. Ain't nothing gonna hold me down. Get ready, 'cause here I come.
It's a great story. 60 seconds, hero's journey, starting at the beginning, moving her through the special world, and emerging at the end as a what? Hero. Now, did you follow the hero's journey through those 60 seconds? Because each one of these steps are covered. Let's look at it one more time. Now see if you can spot all the steps of the hero's journey.
Get ready, 'cause here I come.
In the ordinary world,
Well, last thing I'd like to introduce our new social media manager, Lily.
boom, call to adventure. What she do? Refuses.
Do you know what's going on?
The servers are down. Welcome to the team. Crosses the threshold. Enters the cave.
I'll make the
Ordeal,
world go
darkness,
round.
rebirth.
Gonna take the sunshine.
Lily, tough day, huh?
Reward.
It was a great day.
Throwback. Resurrection.
Ain't
Return.
nothing gonna hold me down. Get ready, 'cause here I come.
So that's Lily. She starts out in the ordinary world. She has the call to adventure. She refuses the call. She's tentative. She meets the mentor who welcomes her into the new world, the special world. Now she's testing her new power. She has allies with this new power. She enters the cave. Look how menacing. Ordeal, the death of the old Lily, the rebirth of the new Lily. Can't be two lilies. One has to go away and the other one has to be born. New Lily is born. Reward. She's helping people. She helped Mr. Timon there. Mr. Timon, we've identified the problem. Now, this app had nothing to do with identifying the problem. and helping Mr. Timmon or helping the company. What it did was to help Lily spell things correctly. But it really looks like this software is at the core of helping a company avoid complete catastrophe. Finally, the road back, the resurrection because she's recognized by her boss, and the return. So those are the 12 steps of the hero's journey. Here's Lily before, and here's Lily. And Grammarly was the cause of all of this success. So that's the hero's journey. There's Lily. There are the rest of our heroes. Now you're all going to create a hero out of this software that you're going to be creating from scratch. When you are creating what you're creating, you're going to have to remember that hero's journey. Because you want us all to care about engaging in your game, your experience, whatever it is that you're building. So that's one hero's journey. The other hero's journey is when you present this. You need a story arc of this hero's journey to help everyone understand why they should care about what it is you're about to show them. So what will you create? Any questions? Okay.
So maybe this is what we're referring to, I'm not sure. Do you think that when they pitch their project, they should tell, like that's a fictional story of their product, but should they tell the real story of how their team did this, or is that not a good use of their time?
They could tell how their team did this if in the process their team faced a life and death situation. You know, I want to tell you about a process we experienced during the creation of this software where one of our team members almost lost his life. Okay, we want to hear that story. But what we probably don't want to hear is, our team got together, and my team is Bill and Joe and Jerry, and well, it took us about a month because we've been working on this for about a month, and we did some coding, and our friend did some visions. No, that's standard. If you do have a life and death story that brought you to, especially if when your colleague almost lost his life and that influenced the way we created what you're about to see, everybody is all in. You sort of already won, and it would be yours to lose after that. So you definitely could have a team story. If your team story, follow the hero's journey. Yes?
I recall you saying you sold the rocket, and you did it by using storytelling. How did you implement that technique and your rocket?
Great question. So I worked for Lockheed Martin. Was there for about 10 years. And I was the promotion manager at Lockheed. So it was my job to go promote Lockheed products and services around the world. And at one point, 2 security guards showed up at my office and said, "Mr. White, we'd like you." And I got in a security van. They drove me to the far corner of the Burbank Airport, walked me into a deserted small warehouse with oil drums, and eventually 10 of the people were in there with me. We were all scared, looking at each other. What have we done wrong? And guys came in with clipboards. They said, "Okay, these are your applications for a top secret security clearance. We want you to fill these out right now. We're starting a new program." That was the F-22 fighter jet competition between Lockheed Martin and Northrop. The value of the contract was $70 billion, which at that time was the biggest contract in aerospace history by far. And it was a must-win for the Lockheed team. And we had to demonstrate to Congress, the Air Force, the customer, and the general public who would influence their Congress people, that Lockheed was the only choice between Lockheed and Northrop. There was no other choice, that there was no competition. The problem was that the plane was classified top secret. So we couldn't show it, and we couldn't say anything about it. To complicate matters, Lockheed hadn't created anything for the Air Force that was even relevant to a fighter jet since Vietnam. So the challenge was how to go convince the world that Lockheed is the only choice and that they shouldn't even consider Northrop. Meanwhile, what Northrop was doing was following the contract rules by the letter, which is to say, we won't show it, we won't talk about it, but just know we're creating a fighter jet that we can't show you that can virtually fly itself. So taking the hero's journey track, what we said was, no, it's all about the pilot. We know it says this plane should fly itself. The Air Force guys, it's about the pilot, isn't it? Yes. So I hired Sid Mead, who knows who Sid Mead is, anybody? So Sid Mead designed Blade Runner, Aliens, Tron, futurist designer, amazingly gifted guy, one of my design heroes. So I hired Sid. I asked the Lockheed engineering team to draw the opposite of what this plane would look like. At this point, I didn't even know what it looked like. So they drew the opposite. I sent it to the Air Force Office of Public Affairs. They cleared it. I gave it to Sid, and Sid brought it to life in these amazing renderings. We created a poster series out of those renderings. And they were in every Air Force office across the country. Then I created a series of films. And the third film of this series was called The Spirit of Flight. And it was a 12-minute movie about an 11-year-old boy who longed to be a great fighter pilot. He had planes hanging from his ceiling. It was a very Spielberg-like movie. And in this movie, boy magically transformed, grows up, becomes a pilot, goes out and saves the world, and comes back, and a very emotional little story. And it was approved, the script, I wrote the script. The script was approved by everyone at Lockheed. We got it approved by the Air Force Office. You had to get everything approved because the program's top secret. So it's all approved, big budget. And we shot it, cut it, finished it to show at the Black Tie Air Force event in Washington, D.C., where the Chief of Staff of the Air Force and his entourage would be there, and they would see this movie. 2 weeks before the big show in Washington, D.C., the head of the Lockheed program calls me and says, I think we should do a pre-screening of this for the mid-level Air Force management, just to make sure we're on track. So can you set up that screening? So I set up a screening for about 200 people or so. And so we're all gathered in the screening room, and I invited the whole creative team from the film too, right? Everyone who helped shoot it and create it, because I wanted them to get this sense of applause and exhilaration that would most certainly come as a result of seeing this masterpiece. 12 minutes later, the lights come up, and there's dead silence in the room. And I mean, you could hear a pin drop. I'm standing at the back of the theater. Then there's murmuring along the front row between the Lockheed team and the Air Force teams. After the murmuring is finished, the head of the Air Force program, the head of the Lockheed program, stood up, turned to the back of the room and pointed at me and said, White, we need to find another movie. We would rather show a Bugs Bunny cartoon to the chief than to show this. So that was a great public demonstration of how they felt about the movie. Well, I had confidence in it, and I knew we had to show this. Over the next 2 weeks, I lobbied hard to all of the senior Lockheed team, especially those most connected to the senior Air Force teams. And ultimately, they agreed. So 2 weeks later, we showed our movie. The Chief of Staff of the Air Force, his wife, everyone in black tie, the Air Force team and their, dress regalia, under chief, all the senior brass were there. And all these senior executives from every Air Force company, every aerospace company in the country was also there. So then the chief and his entourage go into our theater. 12 minutes later, the doors open. And now everyone's waiting. Again, silent, waiting now for the chief to emerge. What does he think of this? There's a lot of risk here. And finally, the chief emerges, and he's got tears coming down his cheeks. Everyone sees this, and he walks processional through the crowd that parts like the Red Sea. He walks up to the chairman of Lockheed, who grabs his hands and says, you captured the spirit of this program. And we won using this. Now, is this the only reason we won? No. But what this did was it publicly let the chief, the decision maker, demonstrate to the whole Air Force that this was the right way to go. Suddenly everyone looks at everything differently. Oh, this is a great proposal. The chief says that, oh, I see. It influenced everyone's thinking. It influenced the way they looked at our product and they could see our product. It was beautiful. We had an emotional story that went along with it. So that's how we took an underdog position that Lockheed Martin had and turned that into a winning position. But it took the whole team to do that. You know, I mean, the engineers created obviously an amazing product. And the senior Lockheed team had the right connections to the Air Force team to make sure the right people were in the right room at the right time and we had access to them. So then that's the magic of teams. You'll all be working on teams to do this. You gotta really mobilize everybody's unique qualities of the team. But that's how we did that. And by the way, that F-22 program turned into the F-35 program. And the value to Lockheed Martin today is about $1 trillion. To start with that program.
Why did the mid-level management, why do you think mid-level management on a bad feeling about your?
Absolutely. So you remember the first slide of the Star Wars where the jet came in and then there was some statistics next to it? That's what they were expecting. Here at Lockheed, our greatest asset is our people. And we have 27 high bays, and we are producing this, and here's the thrust vector ratio. They were expecting a technical presentation on film, and it was the opposite of that. It was pure emotion. But by the way, we had an animation sequence in there where the plane built itself, and it included everything that they wanted to say, so it was in there. But the mid-level team, since now they're in a position of approving this to show to their boss, they were very reluctant to say, yes, this is what we should show to the boss in case the boss didn't like it. So, good lesson, if you really believe in something, you really have to decide who you're going to listen to when they're giving their critique, and that's always the entrepreneur's dilemma.
I have another question. I'm not dominating too much. On a team of, say, I don't know, 8 people, how many or how much time or what percentage of that team should be devoted to the marketing versus the product? I mean, I know that's a guesswork kind of game depending on the product and all that. But for these guys.
Another really excellent question. So let's say there's product here, and we can say it's marketing, and of course it is, but let's call that customer insight, customer engagement. The marketing piece is all about the customer. The product piece is largely about technology, okay? So if we're gonna create anything, if we're gonna create this thing, as an example, this has to fit in my hand, and his hand, and her hand, and everybody's hand. And all of our hands are different. And it has to fit in right hand, and it has to fit in left hand. It can't fall out of our hands. It's got to work all the time, and so on. So there's a product technology piece to that. But then we have to go and understand who even wants one of these. Why shouldn't we make it in the first place? It's going to cost a lot of money even to develop this. So that's the marketing piece that Jake is talking about. And that means we have to go out and understand where there's a need and what is the need and what's missing in these people's lives. And maybe it isn't just a controller. Maybe what this represents is confidence, because most people don't like to speak in public. Maybe this is a device that gives people the confidence to speak in public, as an example. So you can be a public speaker and be a hero if you use this. You know, and you hear the story start to create, right? But that's only because we did embrace the marketing piece, as Jake says, to go out and understand what the market needs, what the market loves, what the market is afraid of, what those emotional triggers are, in order to create this. If you think about a company like Nike, do you think Nike's a product company or do you think Nike's a marketing company?
Marketing.
It's a marketing company. They had a heck of a design team. They don't own any factories, by the way. Those are all third-party contract manufacturers. So once they're done making the red shoes, they can switch to the blue shoes overnight nearly. It's the risk of the third-party suppliers. But Nike is a huge marketing company. That means that they can market not only shoes, but golf balls and football helmets and name it for every sport. Because their slogan is just do it, we can be professional sports heroes just by buying a piece of Nike gear, because that's the meaning of Nike. Question from this side of the room.
So before even starting a project, just consider the trends of what people's, what they're paying attention to, I guess, let's say in the news cycle, kind of capturing a certain emotion from a certain story, grabbing that opportunity, then making the most of that so it can garner much more eyes, I guess you can say, a much bigger population than you would that story would not do. You understand?
That's exactly right. And in that process of identifying those trends, as you say, in that process, then you want to go out and see where there is something else that can actually fulfill that. So that's your competitive analysis, right? And there's that, there's that. Okay, there are a few things that can do. Okay, but of those things, what really can they do and what can't they do? Well, they can do these things, but they still can't do these things, and that's your market opportunity to fulfill what they need that no one else is offering. And when you can do that, then you can say something like, we have the only blank in the market with no competition. Investors pay attention to that. But you can only do that once you've identified the need, as you say, viewed the market to identify what already is being offered, and identifying the holes to fulfill that need. That's your market area. You can see that customer piece, the marketing piece, is critically important because, as Jake showed us, right now, in fact, I think some of you did, we can start creating software today. You might have already created some already, which is great in order to understand because you don't have much time until this competition. But in order to really know where to put your time toward, you really have to embrace what that customer experience is going to be and who's the experience for. Because when you present this, you're going to be saying, here's, ultimately you're going to be saying, here's this. It's aimed at kids 13 to 18. Oh, okay. So I don't have to worry if that applies to me. Okay, I see you're talking to somebody. Now I'm going to gauge how effective that is based on who you say you're talking to. This one's aimed at girls. Oh, girls. Okay, got it. This one's aimed at inner city. So how well you describe to us who you're solving for is going to help us understand how effective your solution is.
So I have a question, like whenever you Google these days, like you have a product, you think about there's something like that already there. So how do you go around for patents and how do you go around making your product unique? So A, to avoid having infringement, B, have a mode that way that way you have like something unique compared to others. Like what's the strategy or how do you go about it?
Good. So you see whatever those white things are that look very magical on the board back there. Imagine that each one of those is filled up with a competitive thing that you found. You fill it up, and then once you fill that up, you go look for more. You find all of them. Find all the competitive things. You put them all up on the wall, and you and your team immerse yourself in those things. You got to completely familiarize yourself with them, because once you familiarize yourself with them, you'll know what exists and what doesn't exist. The trick is to find what's missing on that wall of what exists. It's that piece of what's missing that's the market opportunity for you. That way you don't have to worry about any patent infringement because you're creating something that you know doesn't exist. But imagine that we go create something without knowing our market. It's like Russian roulette. In fact, it's worse than Russian roulette. It's like the completely loaded gun because your chances of magically thinking of something that is like zero. So really understanding. So if you're going to create Jake showed one shot, I remember, where there was the street scene and there was a truck and there was a circle in front of the truck, and let's say you're going to turn that into something. You want to go find out all the games that are using that kind of thing. And you can change it just a little, but imagine if technologically you're changing just a little, but from a story perspective, you're telling something totally unique, a totally unique story perspective with a slightly tweaked technology. Who does that? Apple. Great. So how many writers are in the room? Good. Great. Actually, this is the time where everyone really needs to raise their hand because we all need to be doing it. I graduated in industrial design, so I'm a visual designer from the Kirk College before it was the Kirk College. And I realized that the strength of my design was based on the story that I told that preceded the unveiling of the design. So I became a writer in the process, but I didn't study writing. So I would really encourage all of you, even if your writing starts small, really embrace those words because that's going to make a big difference in whatever it is that you create. Who else is from the Kirk College here? Business? Engineering? Other? Where's the other?
Multimedia production.
Okay, where's that? Kirk. Okay.
So,
Cool.
athletic training.
Oh, nice. Like kinesiology. Yeah. Who else said other?
Animation.
Okay. Oh, great. So I just did a little competitive scan, right? So now from that, I don't know if any of you in here are teamed, or if you've already got your teams and the teams are all in here. This is also an opportunity to say, if I'm from engineering and I've got my product nailed, but I really don't know this writing piece and the story creation piece, it's a good opportunity to team up with others too, because if you have a product person, and if you have a business person, and if you have a creative person, you're going to knock it out of the park. So I would suggest teaming wherever you can. Hannah, when is the final presentation?
Oh, the final presentation will be April 7th. What we want to do on April, the 2-minute multimedia piece will be on April
3rd. So you've got about 3 weeks to put this together. So. Well, you have been a great audience. Jake, you're completely inspiring. So thank you for teaming this up. And thank you for inviting me to come and present.
So thank you, Tom. Okay, so I know you're all probably hungry, so we have some pizza outside. We will also be switching to room 133. So if you want to eat, you grab your stuff, move, or whatever order you want to do it, and then we'll be back around 1:05. Just looking for enough time. So just head outside whenever you're ready and grab some food.
Is the video that you made? That's probably not like public property or anything, is it?
Oh yeah, it's very public. Yeah, it had to be public, right? We couldn't show it. There's a link to a talk that I.
Stop it right up there, just so you know. One more, and then stop recording.